Good morning. Welcome to Craft Time at the Lisbon Hepburn Library. My name is Michelle McClagan and I am the director of the library here in Lisbon. And today our summer reading craft is Tropical and Rainforest Birds from South America. So we are making bird collages with cupcake liners. There's also some paper involved and some wiggly eyes, but let me show you what we're going to be making. We have assorted different craft kits, so you will be able to make 2 of the 4 animals that I'm going to show you, and that's going to be dependent on which kit you grabbed at the library. So one of the kits that we have will make a flamingo. The flamingo will have polka dots and will have some feathers for the wings and the tail. We also have a parrot. And the parrot is going to be mostly red, but is also going to have some blues and purples and yellows and greens for the tail feathers. We have a blue macaw, which is going to have a mixture of blue and then some yellow polka dots, and then some blue polka dots and some plain blue. And then we also have a toucan. And this one is going to be mostly black and white. You're going to have some white polka dots down here at the bottom, and then you've got a colorful beak. So let me put those aside, and I'm going to show you what is in the craft kits. Now, regardless which kit you get, a lot of the contents are going to be the same. So pull that out. The first page you have is going to have some photos of the samples that I've already made. So that'll give you an idea of what it is that you're putting together. You will also have some wiggly eyes taped to the front page. Your kit will have both a big eye and a small eye. The big eyes are going to be used for the toucans and the parrots, and the small eyes are for the flamingos and the macaws. So you will have the correct eyes in your kit. The second page in your kit is going to be the instructions that just give you a basic idea of what it is that you need to do. And then there may be something that you have to cut out, either part of the face, in this case it's the red parrot face, or the red parrot's beak, which is just in black paper. So you might have something along those lines. Then also you are going to, in some cases, have things that are already printed on the correct color paper. If it's a black piece of paper you need, it's not going to be printed on a piece of colored paper, but you will have the blue macaw head and the blue macaw beak. So those you would need to cut out, and you'll have 2 background pieces of paper. You can interchange these with whichever animal or whichever bird that you prefer. Although I will say that the one for the flamingo is more of a tropical one. It's got like a palm tree on the side instead of just a branch, but you can interchange those. So you will have different kinds of branches on different kinds of background paper. And then you will also have a pile of cupcake liners. Depending on which animals are in your kit, you will have different colors that include the reds, the greens, the blues, the yellows, black, polka dot, white, all of those, pink as well, and you'll have those. So that's what's in your kit. What you need to provide is some glue, a pair of scissors, and some markers or some crayons would be nice. So let me grab some supplies that I have over here that are more or less ready to go. And what we'll make today together in this particular video is this black toucan. So I have some leaves down here and a branch. And what you can do is use your crayons or your markers, and you can decorate that, give it a little extra color it in, or, just highlight some of the areas. So let me give a little bit of a quick color here with my brown marker, and I'll make this branch stand out a little bit. You're going to cover up a fair amount of the branch depending on where exactly you place your cupcake liners, so you may find that you don't see a lot of it in the finished project, but it's also seemed like a good idea to give the birds something to sit on. Or in the case of the flamingo, a little bit of a beach to stand on. So I've got a green marker here too, and let me come and give a little bit of color to the leaves that are going to be underneath of or behind my bird. And if you have different color crayons, you can do some light or some dark leaves. You can dress them up however you want to. And you don't even have to make them green. You can always choose to make them a different color. So that's it for my markers. That's all I need them for on this particular one. So I'll put those aside. Now let's look at what we have for our cupcake liners. We've got our wiggly eye and we have our beak. We have a white liner. The white liner is going to be used right here. So it is going to be part of the body. We have a polka dot black and white liner, and that's going to be cut into smaller pieces and used to accent the tail feathers. And then there will be 3 black ones. One of them is going to be the entire head. Half of one is going to be the body. Half of one is going to be this wing. A piece of one will be this wing, and then we'll use the leftovers down here at the bottom to do our tail feathers. So let's separate all of our cupcake liners and we'll get started. So the first one that I want to do something with is I want to start with the white part of the body, because that's going to determine where my head goes and everything else. So just flatten it out just like that. And I want to lay it down and get an idea of where I want it to go, because remember, I also am going to be flattening out a black one for the head, which is going to go above the body. They're going to overlap a little bit. I'm going to have some tail feathers that are coming down here, and I'm also going to have a wing that's coming off of the side. So it's okay if part of it hangs off the paper, but if I put everything too close to one side, then I'm going to have a lot of empty space on the other. So let's go with this as kind of our layout. Now, I'm going to take the inside of the cupcake liner on the body part and take my glue stick, and I'm just going to put glue right here in the center. You can see where the center, the bottom of the cupcake would go. And we'll go back and add more glue later, but I want to go ahead and just make sure that I'm happy with my location before I glue everything down. And I like to smooth that middle part down so it's pretty flat. And then we'll just kind of push things down. And then let's see, is that going to be where I want it? I think so. I'm going to be okay with that. That would just be less to peel off. So let's take our glue stick and let's go run it around in a little circle around the outside. And then we'll take our cupcake liner and we'll squish so that it is flattened out and giving us a nice circle. And you may have to go back and add a little bit of glue around the edges. You'll know because it'll start to pop up a little bit. All right, there's our belly of our bird. Now let's take one of our black ones and we're going to come, and if you look closely here, you can see that the head of the bird sits on top of the black part of the back side of its body and on top of this wing, and this other wing goes underneath. So the next piece we want to do is going to be this black part of the body. So we're going to come along and take our scissors, flatten it out, and then fold it in half, just like that. give it a little bit of a crease, okay? Unfold it, and now you can see where that crease is, and just cut it right in half. So now you've got 2 halves. So 1 half is going to be this part of the body. So we want to come back and get some glue on it and line it up and give it a little bit of an angle. But you want to line up that center portion so that it's lined up with the white one that's underneath. Okay. And then you can come back and give it a little more glue up top. I found that it makes sense sometimes not to glue down every single piece because you want a little bit of 3-dimensional effect here. So we'll just glue it down right there at the top. Now let's come back and we can use this other half here. And we're going to turn that into a wing. So you want his wing to come off, you know, sort of like that. You want to be able to see the tip of his wing. You don't want it lined up perfectly with his body. So we'll see where we want to put it. And then I'm going to, once again, I'm going to glue mostly just that center piece where it's flat until I make sure I know where I want it. So we'll line it up there and we'll tip it off to the side so we can see it. And I'm going to glue that down. Now I'm going to let this end free so that I have some 3-dimensional effect there. But I am going to come back over here and I'm going to put some glue to hold this down because I know I'm going to come along and glue the head on. All right, so there we go. Now, next one I'm going to do, I'm going to take a whole cupcake liner and I'm just going to flatten it out. And I'm going to imagine where his head's going to go, and it's going to go right about there. Okay. And then I'm going to take my remaining black liner and I'm going to flatten it. I'm going to cut it in half, or in pieces, I should say, because I'm going to put it right here. So first thing I'm going to do is I am actually going to fold it in half. Open it up. Cut it right down the middle where I have my little fold lines. And that's going to be part of this wing. But you can see we've glued other things in place. So we're going to want to actually just kind of come along, lift this up, but we're going to cut a piece of the wing off so that we can come in and slide this underneath, okay? And that's going to make the wing that's coming out the other side. So as you're gluing, just remember you do want to peel things up sometimes. And put some glue there, and we'll just slide it right in underneath. And remember, part of it's going to get covered up by his head. So now we glue that back down. And again, I'm going to put a little extra glue right up here at the top so that I can cover it with his head, but I'm going to leave this side free. And then I am going to add a little more right here for his body where I peeled it up. It's not as sticky now. All right, so we've got wings now. Now we're going to come back and glue down his head. So flip it over. I want to start right in the center with some glue so that I can position it. Now, these black ones, they have a brand name. They say a little brand name right here with a copyright symbol. If you line it up just so, you will end up covering it up with the beak. So that is just a thought that you may want to do. You can't always cover them up, but you can try. So see how it's all overlapping right here around the bird's neck? That's why we don't want to put too much glue on anything until we get a little further into it. So that all lines up pretty good. I'm happy with all of that. And now I can go back and add some glue. It's also really hard to put glue on the crumpled up edges of the cupcake liner. It's a little easier to do the glue when you are putting it on the paper. So let's flatten out his head. And if you start from the center and kind of work your way out, it does seem to work a little bit better. And then down here, we're going to want to add a little glue. Now, I overlapped this a little too much, so I'm just going to take the corner of my scissors, or I shouldn't say the corner of my scissors. I'm going to take my scissors and cut off that little piece that was sticking out. Now, carefully, so we don't mess up the cupcake liners that we already have. Add a little glue there and push down the bottom of his head. And there we go. All right, so we have 2 wings now. We have the bottom of his body, and the bottom of his body, we can add a little bit of glue. You don't want to add too much because we're going to want to tuck his tail feathers right under the edge of this white. So we'll peel that back just a tiny bit. And now, come along. I've got half of this black one. I've got a piece of black that came off of this other wing, and I still have this whole one. So we're going to come along, fold this in half so that I can get some kind of straight edge going. And I'm going to cut right down the middle. Then I'm going to line these up. And if you look here, what I've used is basically, it's a quarter. These 2 are quarters, and this one down here is a little bit skinnier. Cut those. So now I have 4 pieces there, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. I will cut that one in half, and then I've got a little bit skinnier piece. So now I have some assorted pieces for the feathers, and I'm going to start with just gluing where the circle is, so where the flat part is, the bottom of the cupcake part. I'm gonna glue that on the bottom and start lining them up. And I'm just gonna put the first row underneath the edge of his bum, okay? Because this is tails and tails was our theme this year. So we've got lots of tails going on here with our tail feathers. I'm gonna take a plain black one then, and I'm going to line it up over top. And you can do them in whatever order you want to. There's absolutely no rule about which order. And I'm going to line up another one underneath. And then I'm going to come along over here and tuck this one up underneath a little bit here. There we go. So that those all overlap. And then let's add another piece of the solid black down here. And as you can see, because I didn't glue down the edges, I'm able to layer my feathers in by sliding them underneath. There we go. And I do have 1 piece left, so you know what? I'm not going to let it go to waste. I'm just going to add 1 more underneath here at the bottom. And again, just lifting up the other ones that I've only glued down the center portion for. All right, so now that is all done. Now come back, add a little bit of glue right up here at the top so that the body glues back down again. And we are all done with the feathers. So you can see we've got a little bit of a 3-dimensional effect going here. We've got 2 things left we need to do. We need to do the beak, and we need to do the eye. So with the beak, if you line it up, if you would put your cupcake wrapper down so the brand name was right here, when you put your beak on, it can cover it up. And your beak can curve down a little bit. It's okay if it sticks out over the edge of the paper. And you want to look and see about how much of that do you want to glue. So we want to glue over into the green part just a little bit. So we'll flip it down, and we'll start at this end and put some glue on there just so we can place it on top, figure out where we want to go. There we go. And then we're going to come in, we can add a little glue, or you could have glued it all at one time. I like to make sure that I'm happy with the placement before I add all of my glue. Last thing, we are going to do the wiggly eye. So we'll put some glue on that and then figure out where that's going to go. And we'll just stick it right up here. And we'll make sure everything that we want to have pressed down is pressed down, and everything we want to have a three-dimensional effect is sticking out. Put the lid back on our glue stick and the cap back on our scissors, and we'll slide all of this out of the way and we'll take a look. So this is the sample that I had already done, and this is the one that we just did today. As you'll see, they always come out just a little bit different. You get choices on how you want to arrange your feathers down here and where you want to place it on your branch. So there we have our toucan. Now, when you're doing your blue macaw, it's going to get a smaller eye. You're going to put your beak on top of the head. The head's going to go on top of the body, and your body is essentially the yellow. So it's half of a cupcake wrapper of the yellow polka dots, covered by a half of a cupcake wrapper of the teal blue colored one. When you're gluing it, you're going to want to be able to lift this up again, because you're going to want to put some feathers at the bottom, and you can alternate between the teal colored blue and the blue polka dots and do polka dot and teal, polka dot and teal. And with these, again, you're going to have one whole cupcake wrapper that's blue polka dots, and I think here I only used half of it, like 2/4 pieces, and then the other half of this teal one, I cut that in half. So you'll end up with half of a yellow cupcake wrapper left and half of a blue polka dot one. Or you can add some other feathers or do whatever you want to do. So that will be your blue macaw. And then for your parrot, you are going to start with the red body. So that is a whole cupcake wrapper you can see sticking out there. That's going to go on first. Don't glue it down right around the edges yet, just like we did with the other one, because you're going to put another whole one, which is going to be the head. And you're going to do half for this wing. So you want to slide it underneath before you glue everything down. And then half for this wing. And if you look closely, don't know if you can see where I actually trimmed it off so that it wasn't pointing up so much underneath of the head. You'll want to add a white paper circle, a black paper beak. You've got your wiggly eye. And then down here for your tail feathers, you will have in your kit a green, a yellow polka dot, a purple, and a blue polka dot cupcake wrapper. All I did was cut them in half. So I flattened them, I folded them in half, I cut them in half, and then I just put them in the order that I happen to like. There's no reason that you have to do any particular order. So you will have some leftovers, or you could always choose to do, like a green, yellow, purple, blue, green, yellow, purple, blue, and make it a really, really full tail. That is entirely up to you, but that's what you're going to do for your red parrot. And the last one that we have here is the flamingo. The flamingo is one, pink and white polka dot cupcake liner. You're going to flatten it out. You're going to glue the center, make sure you got it in the right position, and then glue down the rest of it all the way around, okay? You're going to want to leave just a little bit unglued right here. Then you're going to take your second pink cupcake liner, polka dot one, and then a plain pink one, and you're going to flatten them, cut them in half, and then cut them into thirds, okay? And that'll give you plenty to do multiple feathers. And I even cut the tiny tail feathers a little bit skinnier. So you just want to, do what you want there. You can always add a few more, and they look nice when you alternate the colors. But here you'll see these were tucked underneath of the pink polka dot body before I finished gluing it down. And then once they were glued down, I didn't glue them all the way. I left them three-dimensional, but I glued this onto them. And then the wings, I only glued the round circle-y part. And I did line that up with the circle in the body, so they all kind of line up there. Then your other step is going to be, you will have a piece of pink paper that is, you need to cut out. It has this black beak part already printed on it. So you just cut this whole shape out, and that's going to be the neck and the head and the beak for your flamingo. And then you're going to get a tiny little eye. So that is how you would assemble the other ones. So we have a flamingo, we have a parrot, a blue macaw, and a toucan that are all part of our South American tropical and rainforest birds. Thank you so much for joining us this week for another craft time. Once again, my name is Michelle McClagan, and I am the director of the Hepburn Library of Lisbon, and I look forward to seeing you at another craft time. Come see us at the library Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 3 to 8 p.m., Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 5. Take care. Bye-bye.